Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Why We Write, 20 acclaimed authors on how and why they do what they do. Edited by Meredith Maran. Narrated by Rachel Perry and Adam Barr. Introduction. Why do writers write? Anyone who's ever sworn at a blinking cursor has asked herself that question at some point, or at many, many points. When the work is going well and the author is transported, fingers flying under the watchful eye of the muse, she might wonder as she takes her first sip of the coffee she poured and forgot about hours ago. How did I get so lucky that this is what I get to do? And then there are the less rapturous writing days, or weeks, or decades, when the muse is injured on the job and leaves the author sunk to the armpits in quicksand, and every word she types or scribbles is wrong, 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 and she cries out to the heavens, "Why am I doing this to myself?" It's a curiosity in either case. Why do some people become neurosurgeons, dental hygienists, investment bankers, while others must choose an avocation that promises only poverty, rejection, and self-doubt? Why do otherwise rational individuals get up every morning, often very, very early in the morning, before the sun, or the family, or the day job calls, and willingly enter the cage? Is it the triumph of seeing one's words in print? Statistics show this isn't a reasonable incentive. According to the website Publishing Explained, more than 1 million manuscripts are currently searching for a U.S. publisher. 1% of these will get the nod. Nor can we credit the satisfaction of a job well done. As the ever-cheerful Oscar Wilde put it, books are never finished. They are merely abandoned. Only 30% of published books turn a profit, so we can rule out material motivation. God knows it can't be for the boost in self-esteem. To paraphrase Charlie Chaplin's depiction of actors, writers search for rejection. If they don't get it, they reject themselves. Why then does anyone write? Unlike performing brain surgery, cleaning teeth, or trading bonds, anyone can pick up a yellow pad, or a laptop, or a journal, and create a poem or a story, or a memoir. And despite the odds against attaining the desired result, many, many people do. We fill our journals, and write our novels, and take our writing classes. We read voraciously, marveling at the sentences, and characters, and plot twists our favorite authors bestow upon us. How do they do it? We ask ourselves. And why? From a very early age, perhaps the age of 5 or 6, I knew that when I grew up I should be a writer. Between the ages of about 17 and 24, I tried to abandon this idea, but I did so with the consciousness that I was outraging my true nature, and that sooner or later I should have to settle down and write books. So declared George Orwell in his 1946 essay, Why I Write, in which he listed the 4 great motives for writing. 1. Sheer egoism. To be talked about, to be remembered after death, to get your own back on grown-ups in childhood, etc. 2. Aesthetic enthusiasm. To take pleasure in the impact of one sound on another, in the firmness of good prose, or the rhythm of a good story. 3. Historical impulse. The desire to see things as they are, to find out true facts, and store them up for the use of posterity. 4. Political purposes. The opinion that art should have nothing to do with politics is itself a political attitude. 30 years later, Joan Didion reprised the question in the New York Times Book Review. I write entirely to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see and what it means, Didion wrote. In many ways, writing is the act of saying I, of imposing oneself upon other people, of saying, listen to me, see it my way, change your mind. It's an aggressive, even a hostile act. There's no getting around the fact that setting words on paper is the tactic of a secret bully, an invasion, an imposition of the writer's sensibility on the reader's most private space. In 2001, the preternaturally gentle naturalist, Terry Tempest Williams, addressed the question in Why I Write in Northern Lights magazine. I write to make peace with the things I cannot control. I write to create fabric in a world that often appears black and white. I write to discover. I write to uncover. I write to meet my ghosts. I write to begin a dialogue. I write to imagine things differently, and in imagining things differently, perhaps the world will change. As for me, I write books to answer my own questions, so I made a wish list of authors to interview for this one, basing my selections on 2 factors. I wanted the conversation to benefit from a mix of genres, genders, ethnicities, ages, and, therefore, experiences in writing and in life. And I wanted to talk to those who have beaten the odds, writers who have succeeded at both the craft and the commerce of writing, who could offer the greatest insights into the creative urge, writers whose success has satisfied the basic motivations of the struggling author, to become rich and famous, to prove one's work worthy of publication, to prove to one's mother or ex-husband or ex-boss just how wrong that person was. For the household name authors in this book, done, and done. Those included here, the 20, as I call them, have written books that sell in the kinds of numbers that make publishers send them flowers and leather-bound first editions, and, most important, new book contracts. They are the authors whose work is regularly praised and sometimes condemned, but is rarely ignored by important critics and publications. Their faces and voices are known to anyone who watches Good Morning America or listens to Fresh Air. Millions or billions of fans worldwide read every book they write. In other words, the 20 authors here have exactly what every writer wants: full creative freedom and nothing to worry about. Or so I thought. I've been publishing poems and articles since Eisenhower was president. I've been writing books and book reviews since Nixon waved goodbye. Decades of assignments have taught me how difficult it can be to elicit a yes from writers as media-wearied as those on my wish list. Publicists, personal assistants, bodyguards, and bouncers have impressed upon me how many requests are rejected daily by those in that stratum of the famosphere. So I expected the hard part to be the get, convincing these illustrious few to talk to me. Question: what might convince the 20 to sit for interviews for this book? Answer: a shared commitment to literacy and shared support for an organization that promotes it. 826 National fits the bill. It's an innovative youth literacy program founded in San Francisco in 2002 by the ever-innovative Dave Eggers, now encompassing outposts in Boston, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, and Ypsilanti, Michigan. Each chapter is housed in a quirkily named storefront: the Boring Store in Chicago, the Museum of Unnatural History in D.C., in which after-school tutoring sessions and summer camps are held, and from which volunteers fan out into local public schools to help teachers do their jobs, all for free. Once I'd spoken to the good folks at 826 National, and we'd agreed that a portion of the proceeds of this book would go to their worthy projects, I started making calls. The first happy surprise of what proved to be an incredibly happy process. Each of the 20, from Allende to Wurlitzer, said yes. Some said they were eager to support 826. Many said they'd never been asked the why question before. They were as interested to answer it as I was to hear their answers. Whenever I am writing, Rick Moody told me, or more accurately, whenever I have written, I feel better and more at peace as a human being. You have deep control, and where else can you find that? Meg Wurlitzer said. You can't control other people, or your relationships, or your children, but in writing, you can have sustained periods where you're absolutely in charge. Sue Grafton said, My best time as a writer is any day or any moment when the work's going well and I'm completely absorbed in the task at hand. The hardest time is when it's not, and I'm not. The latter tend to outnumber the former, but I'm a persistent little cuss, and I soldier on. Walter Mosley mused, I can't think of a reason not to write. I guess one reason would be that nobody was buying my books. Come to think of it, that wouldn't stop me. I'd be writing anyway. I also asked each of the 20 to share his or her least favorite part of the writing life. When I'm working on a book, I'm in a very agitated mental state, Michael Lewis told me. My sleep is disrupted. I only dream about the project. I'm mentally absent for months at a time. The social cost to my wife and kids is very high. Luckily, I'm a binge writer. I take a lot of time off between books, which is why I still have a family. I start all my books on January 8th, Isabel Allende said, shaking her immaculately coiffed head. Can you imagine January 7th? It's hell. I just show up in front of the computer. Show up, show up, show up. And after a while, the muse shows up too. Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Jennifer Egan confessed that she worries. A lot. It was scary, pouring time and energy into a project that didn't have a clear genre identity and might therefore fall through the cracks, she told me. I'm afraid my publisher will say, we can't publish your odd book. My second worst fear is that they'll publish it, and the book will come and go without a whisper. The only chance in hell I had of being published in The New Yorker would have been to sign my cover letters J.D. Salinger, said David Baldacci. Most surprising were the writer's responses to the crucial question, a trick question really, that I'd planted in the mix. When I asked, what's the best moment you've had as a writer? I expected to be regaled with tales of Pulitzers awarded, NEA grants granted, White House readings given, multiple weeks on bestseller lists, the sort of writerly riches that less celebrated authors hope to experience someday, should we survive our epic bouts of envy. So I was surprised that so few of the best moments cited by the 20 had to do with money, fame, or critical recognition. Writing my third novel was the best time I've ever had as a writer, Jane Smiley told me, her eyes glowing with the memory. I felt I was being manipulated from afar. It seemed that the characters were using me as a secretary to write their story. Nor did Sebastian Younger mention runaway sales or movie deals. When I went to Sarajevo in '93, and I was with these other freelance writers, he said, and we were reporting on this incredible story. I went from being a waiter to being a war reporter in the course of 3 weeks. Seeing your name in print for the first time, nothing can compare to that. Gish Jen, nay, Lillian Jen, named her best moment the one when she took her writing name. Lillian was a nice Chinese girl, she told me. Gish was not such a nice girl. Gish was the one propping the doors open so I could get back into the dorm at night. There's a kind of freedom that goes with being Gish that didn't go with being Lillian, and that freedom went with writing. Each chapter of Why We Write revolves around one author's answer to the central question of the book. Each juicy narrative is accompanied by a short excerpt from the author's latest book, a few words of introduction, and a boxed set of stats, the vitals, and the collected works, outlining the author's major milestones, personal and professional. Why We Write is devoted to the notion that reading is good and writing is even better. Toward that end, each chapter concludes with the author's pithiest writing tips, a gift to beginning and experienced writers of all genres, genders, ages, ethnicities, and life experiences. The chapters are organized alphabetically, based on the author's last names, one of the many reinforcements of the premise of the book, that the status differences among the writers are far less significant than their similarities. This book is a tribute to writers everywhere, and to the spirit that moves us, as embodied by the 20, who gave much of themselves so that 826 National might encourage a few more American kids to love reading and writing, and so that you might find your love of writing and reading enhanced by the book, real or virtual, that you hold in your hands. Why We Write is an homage, also, to my wonderful agent and my wonderful editor, and to all the literary agents, editors, editorial assistants, art directors, book designers, illustrators, copy editors, proofreaders, production managers, compositors, printers, publicists, marketing directors, sales reps, book reviewers, book bloggers, booksellers, and writers of all stripes and polka dots, who continue to adapt to the ever-changing circumstances of their life's work, and who keep one eye in the rearview mirror and one eye on the road ahead, making books so they might reach the people who want, maybe even need, to read them. Chapter 1. Isabel Allende. In my 40 years, I, Zarite Sadea, have had better luck than other slaves. I'm going to have a long life, and my old age will be a time of contentment, because my star, mise étoile, also shines when the night is cloudy. I know the pleasure of being with the man my heart has chosen. His large hands awaken my skin. Opening lines. Island Beneath the Sea, 2010. Isabel Allende is the world's most widely read Spanish-language author. Her name is invariably linked with magical realism, the genre originated by Franz Kafka in the 1920s and popularized by 100 Years of Solitude author Gabriel Garcia Marquez, to whom Allende is often compared. But the scope of Allende's work, ranging from historical fiction to bare-all memoirs to the pleasures of food and sex, defies categorization, as does she. A beloved light of the Bay Area literary scene, Allende is the first to volunteer when there's a benefit for Hurricane Katrina survivors, or a fundraiser for the public library, or when the local indie bookstore needs a boost. Isabel Allende received me in her cozy, elegantly appointed Sausalito salon, the front room of the 1907 brothel she bought in 2006. Upstairs, her husband, Willie Gordon, practices people's law. Downstairs, along with her longtime assistant, Juliet Ambutzides, whose children are counted among Isabel and Willie's grandchildren, Isabel Allende conducts the business end of her avocation. Making beautiful words, making a more beautiful world. The Vitals. Birthday, August 2, 1942. Born and raised. Born in Lima, Peru. Raised in Chile, Bolivia, and Lebanon. Current home, San Rafael, California. Love life. Married 20-plus years to attorney Willie Gordon. Family life. Tribe includes son Nicholas, grandchildren, family members, and friends. Schooling. Married her first husband at age 20. Never attended college. Day job? No. Honors and awards partial listing. Feminist of the Year Award, 1994. American Academy of Arts and Letters, 2004. Chilean National Book Prize for Literature, 2010. 12 international honorary doctorates. Notable notes. Isabel Allende's father's first cousin was Salvador Allende, the president of Chile, 1970 to 73. Allende writes in Spanish, and her books are all translated by Margaret Sayers Peden. The Isabel Allende Foundation, founded in 1996, promotes the fundamental rights of women and children to be empowered and protected. Allende's 18 books have been translated into 35 languages, with 57 million copies sold. Website, isabelallende.com. Facebook, facebook.com, pages, Isabel-Allende. The collected works. Novels. The House of the Spirits, 1982. The Porcelain Fat Lady, 1984. Of Love and Shadows, 1985. Eva Luna, 1987. The Stories of Eva Luna, 1990. The Infinite Plan, 1991. Daughter of Fortune, 1999. Portrait in Sepia, 2000. City of the Beasts, 2002. Kingdom of the Golden Dragon, 2004. Forest of the Pygmies, 2005. Zorro, 2005. Inez of My Soul, 2006. The Sum of Our Days, a Memoir, 2008. Island Beneath the Sea, 2010. Memoirs. Paula, 1995. Aphrodite, a Memoir of the Senses, 1998. My Invented Country, a Nostalgic Journey Through Chile, 2003. Film adaptations. The House of the Spirits, 1993. Of Love and Shadows, 1994. Plays. The Ambassador, Chile. The Ballad of Nobody, Chile. The Seven Mirrors, Chile. The House of the Spirits. Paula. Eva Luna, a musical. Isabel Allende. Why I write. I need to tell a story. It's an obsession. Each story is a seed inside of me that starts to grow and grow like a tumor, and I have to deal with it sooner or later. Why a particular story? I don't know when I begin. That I learn much later. Over the years, I've discovered that all the stories I've told, all the stories I will ever tell, are connected to me in some way. If I'm talking about a woman in Victorian times who leaves the safety of her home and comes to the gold rush in California, I'm really talking about feminism, about liberation, about the process I've gone through in my own life, escaping from a Chilean, Catholic, patriarchal, conservative, Victorian family, and going out into the world. When I start writing a book, I have no idea where it's going. If it's a historical novel, I've researched the period and the place, but I don't know what story I want to tell. I only know that in a subtle way or in a hidden way, I want to have an impact on the reader's heart and mind. I think it might surprise my readers to know how picky I am with language, how I read aloud a paragraph, and if there are words repeated, I don't like it. I go through the translation into English, line by line. The translator sends me every 20 or 30 pages, and if I see a word that doesn't exactly match my meaning, I go to the dictionary. It's so important for me, finding the precise word that will create a feeling or describe a situation. I'm very picky about that because it's the only material we have, words. But they are free, no matter how many syllables they have. Free. You can use as many as you want, forever. I write in Spanish. I could write a speech in English, but fiction happens in the womb. It doesn't get processed in the mind until you do the editing. But storytelling comes in Spanish to me. It's like making love. I could not be panting in English. It doesn't work that way. I try to write beautifully, but accessibly. In the Romance languages, Spanish, French, Italian, there's a flowery way of saying things that does not exist in English. My husband says he can always tell when he gets a letter in Spanish. The envelope is heavy. In English, a letter is a paragraph. You go straight to the point. In Spanish, that's impolite. Reading in English, living in English, has taught me to make language as beautiful as possible, but precise. Excessive adjectives, excessive description. Skip it. It's unnecessary. Speaking English has made my writing less cluttered. I try to read House of the Spirits now, and I can't. Oh my God, so many adjectives. Why? Just use one good noun instead of 3 adjectives. When I tell the story of slavery, I tell it from the slave's point of view. I also go into the master's heart. I want my reader to feel the slave, to understand what it is to not have freedom. In all my books, there are strong women who have to overcome incredible obstacles to have their own destiny. I'm not trying to create models for other women to imitate. I just want my women readers to find the strength. And I want my male readers to understand what it is to be a woman, to find the sympathy. So, I suppose that's it. Then, too, I'm unemployable. What else would I do? Hell is January 7th. I start all my books on January 8th. Can you imagine January 7th? It's hell. Every year on January 7th, I prepare my physical space. I clean up everything from my other books. I just leave my dictionaries and my first editions and the research materials for the new one. And then on January 8th, I walk 17 steps from the kitchen to the little pool house that is my office. It's like a journey to another world. It's winter. It's raining usually. I go with my umbrella and the dog following me. From those 17 steps on, I am in another world, and I am another person. I go there scared and excited and disappointed because I have a sort of idea that isn't really an idea. The first 2, 3, 4 weeks are wasted. I just show up in front of the computer. Show up, show up, show up. And after a while, the muse shows up too. If she doesn't show up invited, eventually she just shows up. Heaven is when the muse shows up. When I feel that the story is beginning to pick up rhythm, the characters are shaping up, I can see them, I can hear their voices, and they do things that I haven't planned, things I couldn't have imagined. Then I know the book is somewhere, and I just have to find it and bring it word by word into this world. Then my life.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?